Taking a look at the Falcon 9 rocket from the pad view from SpaceX as well. Just want to know a little bit of housekeeping here. You can see our countdown clock is a little bit different than what you see there from the SpaceX feed. Our clock is in real time. The time you see there in the bottom center of the big box here, coming in on a slight delay. So we'll be making our primary callouts based off of real time. Just want to point that out to you so you can keep that in the back of your mind as we continue on through the count. Ending of B1080 about 8.5 minutes after liftoff. Currently T minus 8 minutes and counting. Now less than a minute away from the start of the engine chill down sequence. We'll flow a small amount of liquid oxygen through the plumbing and turbo pumps in those 9 Merlin 1D engines and prepare them for ignition. Now, a little under 8 minutes. Taking a look at the live chat here, want to thank a few more folks for your support this early evening. Thanks to Mr. Owen Goober for a $5 super chat. Really appreciate that, Mr. Owen, who says, this is very cool. I have a handwritten note from astronaut Shane Kimbrough, which is fantastic. Shane Kimbrough, for those who may not recall, most recently flew to the International Space Station as the commander of the SpaceX Crew 2 mission. He was a flight engineer during Expedition 65/66. He performed 3 spacewalks on that particular mission. For those who were not with us earlier in the broadcast, want to go ahead and just give you a quick overview on where this Falcon 9 rocket is going to be headed, since we often get the trajectory question in the live chats. Let's go ahead and hit that one more time. They'll be launching this satellite to geostationary transfer orbit. So once the Falcon 9 rocket leaves Pad 40 or Space Launch Complex 40, Slick 40, at the Cape, it'll fly essentially due east, heading out and away from Florida Space Coast. That first stage booster B1080 set to land on the drone ship. Just read the instructions. 2 fairing halves will be jettisoned a little bit downrange. The map you see here on your screen. They float down underneath the support of parachutes. Here's an image of what that looks like. They're gliding down to splash down in the ocean. They're brought aboard one of the recovery vessels. Today, they're using the one nicknamed Bob. We're now T minus 5 minutes, 6 seconds and counting. We're just about 30 seconds or so away from the point at which the strong back retract sequence will begin. That'll start with the clamp arms underneath the payload fairings opening up, and then the transporter erector, or the strong back, will recline about 1.5 degrees away from the Falcon 9 rocket. stay in that position until liftoff. Taking a look at pad view of the Falcon 9 rocket. Just wanted to bring this view to you briefly so you can get another angle on what the cloud cover looks like. Gives you a little bit of a better overall idea of what SpaceX is tracking this early evening. We do have the call out that the strong back retract is currently underway. As you see the clamp arms opening here in the SpaceX feed, we'll take a look at Chuck Briggs' view. The strong back pulling away ever so slightly from the Falcon 9 rocket right now, as we're now less than 4 minutes away from the liftoff of this Falcon 9. Hoping to snap a period of 15 days where there has not been a launch from the Cape. Looking to break that quiet streak in just about 3.5 minutes. Before we hit that point, though, I want to thank a few more folks for your support. Thanks to Alberto Alves for a 27.9 our dollar super chat. Really appreciate that. Checking in from Sao Paulo, Brazil, which is fabulous. Michael Marquez with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Michael, who says, hey, thanks for doing what you do. It was a last second scrub a couple missions ago. Did they ever say what happened? Thanks. They did not give any specifics as to what happened. That was on the Starlink 10-2 mission. SpaceX director of launch, though, did note that it was a technical issue that required them to roll back to the hangar and address the hardware. So do have a call out that stage 1 LOX load is complete. Looking for a second stage LOX load, wrapping up about 20 seconds. Also want to thank Don Pierce for a $2 super chat. Thank you, Don. And Hunters Run Adventures for the $10 super chat. Thank you, Hunters Run, who's watching from Daytona International Speedway today. Good way to spend an afternoon. We are now 2 minutes away from the liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket. Appreciate the now 20,000 of you who are with us live in our last couple of minutes here. Sure to hit that like button to allow a few more folks to find their way into our live coverage. So we're getting ready to see what should be very lovely late afternoon, early evening launch of the Falcon 9 rocket. Falcon 9 now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of propellant. Seeing the ground gas closeouts here. Commentators say that the weather remains green, that they're tracking no issues on the Falcon 9 rocket. We are now about the 45 second mark. Just waiting for the SpaceX launch director to give their go for launch. Now 30 seconds out, we have the call from the SpaceX launch director. We are go for launch. So now just about 20 seconds away from the liftoff of this Falcon 9 rocket from pad 40. 15 seconds. And here we go in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket on SES's Astra 1P mission. The Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. more than a minute into flight. Falcon 9 is approaching max Q, point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Falcon 9 now traveling faster than the speed of sound as it approaches max Q. Here's that call out. Coming up on a number of milestones in the next minute. T plus 2 minutes and 31 seconds. See main engine cutoff on the first stage. That'll be followed 4 seconds later by stage separation. Then second stage engine start at T plus 2 minutes 42 seconds. That'll be followed a little bit later than we're used to seeing, but the payload fairings will be deployed at T plus 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Now a little more than 2 minutes into flight. About 10 seconds to MECO. This view is from our friend Pete Carstens with Max Q Productions. And there's MECO. Stage separation and SES1. And there, those events on the SpaceX feed as well on the right-hand side of your screen. Some great views from the onboard cameras as well as our tracking team here on the ground. We're just about a minute away from fairing deployment. That's coming up at T plus 4 minutes and 27 seconds. There you see the fairings have been deployed. Nice glimpse of the fairing halves just to the left of the Merlin vacuum engine for a moment. Also got a quick glimpse of the Astra 1P satellite. Coming up in now less than 2 minutes. We'll see the first stage entry burn begin at T plus 6 minutes, 25 seconds. Now a little more than 5 minutes into flight. Depending on how obscuring the cloud cover is, we may or may not be able to capture the first stage entry burn with our ground tracking cameras. If we are able to spot it, we will of course bring that to you, but it is both bright and cloudy, so it may or may not be feasible to see from the ground, but our cameras are scanning the skies for it. A little more than 5.5 minutes into flight. Taking a look up through the inner stage on the view on the left-hand side of your screen. Continuing to see a good burn on the Merlin vacuum engine as well. Now, a little more than 6 minutes into flight, we're just about 20 seconds away from the start of that first stage entry burn. Entry burn should be beginning now in real time. See it coming up on the SpaceX feed momentarily. It looks like we're not going to be able to see it through the clouds from the ground. Here's the view of the entry burn, though, from the onboard cameras from SpaceX Falcon 9 first stage. That booster hitting the brakes as it continues to make its way back through the atmosphere, a little more than 7 minutes into flight in real time. There's the conclusion of that entry burn. Coming up next, the landing burn will begin right about the same time that the second stage engine will cease firing, both of those happening about 10 seconds after the 8 minute mark. Now, 8 minutes into flight. Landing burn beginning in real time now, but the time you're looking for the visual is from the SpaceX feed, so we're now less than 10 seconds from seeing that. Landing burn underway. Eyes on the drone ship. And a confirmation of what you see on your screen. The first stage booster, now for a ninth time, is back down on the drone ship. Just read the instructions. This mission marked the This was the 320th booster landing to date. So unlike a Starlink launch, because this is a customer mission, SpaceX is actually going to be sticking with these live camera views. So as long as we're still able to bring this to you on the Falcon 9 second stage, we will stick with this broadcast. Appreciate you hanging with us at this point. Just a little bit past the 10-minute mark. Here's what we're looking at coming up. The Merlin vacuum engine will reignite for a second burn, SES2, or second stage engine start number 2. That's coming up at T plus 26 minutes, 38 seconds. That burn will last until T plus 27 minutes, 37 seconds. And there will be a cutoff of that engine once again, setting up the Astra 1P satellite to deploy on behalf of SES, T plus 34 minutes, 48 seconds. So a relatively short mission here. And again, this is the 12th dedicated launch on behalf of SES, one of SpaceX's oldest customers to date. Taking a look at the live chat, want to thank the folks who've been hanging through with us, patiently waiting for this mission to go ahead. I also want to thank Mel Roberts Harold for a $5 super chat. Good to see you this evening, Mel, who says, so glad to get to watch, listen, and learn. Thanks all of y'all that make up Spaceflight Now and to the cool folks that gather here together. Yes, we have a wonderful community here. Lots of great conversations in the live chat. And as we're watching the progress of that upper stage of the Falcon 9 rocket, now is as good a time as any. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Spaceflight Now here on YouTube. It's free, quick, and easy to do so. Just hit that subscribe button. Be sure to click the bell icon. That way, your notifications are turned on and you'll get alerted when our live streams begin and when we post new videos, as we will a little bit later on this evening, marking the 50th launch of Rocket Lab's Electron rocket. One of our channel members, Tony Milanix, asking when the next launch is. We're anticipating it no earlier than possibly this Sunday, that being the launch of the Starlink 10-2 mission, Falcon 9, that had the T0 scrub back earlier this month. Of course, we'll keep a close eye on if SpaceX is ready to move forward with that launch, and be sure to keep an eye on our launch schedule over on our website, spaceflightnow.com, for further updates on that. Guessing it may be breakfast where Algo RL is with the $3 super chat. First off, thank you for the support. Sounds like Algo has waffles on the mind. Certainly one of my favorite breakfast food items. Back for my birthday, my wife got me a 4 mini waffle maker, which is fabulous. It's not a product endorsement, so I'm not about to name drop the brand, but it was very, very sweet gesture, as I'm also a big fan of waffles as well. So I'm right there with you, Algo. Again, where we are in the mission, if you're just popping in, we're T plus 14 minutes, 36 seconds and counting in real time. 14 minutes, 26 seconds from the SpaceX feed, coming in on a slight delay. We're just about 12 minutes away from the reignition of the Merlin vacuum engine. T plus 26 minutes, 38 seconds, less than a minute burn, which will set up the Astra 1P satellite to deploy at T plus 34 minutes, 48 seconds. Taking a look back at the pad here, as you can see, and actually I'll go to this zoomed in view for just a moment. But you can see the transporter erector is now back upright there at the pad. This is part of SpaceX's process of turning around its launch infrastructure as quickly as possible in hopes of launching as soon as they possibly can. We're also preparing a launch replay, so Stick around and we'll have that ready in just a few moments here. Currently T plus 17 minutes, 6 seconds and counting. Sure, it's been a busy day for many folks out there, so may not have been paying attention to the calendar at the moment, but it is officially the summer solstice. So I want to wish everybody a happy start to the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. Hope you all have some fun plans for the summer period. Those who are out of school and able to go on holiday or go on vacation, hope you've got some fun trips planned. I'm sure many folks will be heading to Central Florida for one theme park or another. Be sure to try to make some time if you're able to pop over this way and be sure to check out a rocket launch in person. Lots of fun things to do over here on the Space Coast as well, in addition to a rocket launch. Not least of which is our wonderful beaches that go up along the coast of Brevard County. T plus 19 minutes, 55 seconds and counting. Taking a look at a launch replay from the vantage point of Chuck Briggs, who was tracking the rocket from over at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Of course, this was the 12th dedicated flight by SpaceX on behalf of SES. Most recently, it launched a pair of O3B mPOWER satellites for the company. As you can tell, it was a fairly cloudy day. Once you really start to bring your gaze above the launch pad here at the Cape. So a bit tricky to track the rocket, but fortunately the bright glow of the plume was mostly able to help keep Chuck on track here. Appreciate it, yeah. Now T plus 21 minutes, 41 seconds and counting. Taking a look at the telemetry map here on the right-hand side of your screen, the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket currently cruising over the west coast of the continent of Africa. Now, just about 4 minutes away from the start of that second stage engine burn, which will last less than a minute, setting up the Astra 1P satellite to deploy T plus 34 minutes, 48 seconds. Now T plus 24 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. Just about 2 minutes away as we are getting views now back from the second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. Now T plus 25 minutes, 43 seconds and counting. Less than a minute away to the start of the second stage burn. T plus 27 minutes, 9 seconds and counting in real time. See that second stage engine burn currently underway. Currently T plus 29 minutes, 3 seconds and counting in real time. So you saw a good burn of that second stage engine now in a coast phase for the next several minutes. Satellite deployment for SES is coming up at T plus 34 minutes and 48 seconds. While we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and hit one of our other launch replays. This from the vantage point of our friend Pete Karstens with Max Q Productions. Fortunately, from Pete's vantage point down in the Vieira area, a little bit further south than we are here at the press site, there was not quite as much obstruction with clouds. And of course, there were still some, but able to keep good eyes on the rocket for quite a bit longer. SpaceX continues to toggle between camera views on the Falcon 9's upper stage, between keeping eyes on the Merlin vacuum engine and occasionally bringing us a glimpse of the payload on board. Look at the underside of that Astra one piece satellite. Of an odd and obstructed view for a fairly large payload. That's why it's kind of hard to get the full picture on it right now. But once it is deployed, we'll hopefully get a little bit better view. Right now, that upper stage is traveling at a speed of about 35,000 kilometers per hour at an altitude of just beneath 530 kilometers climbing. Great job by Pete capturing the moment of separation, that second stage engine ignition one, SES 1. Now coming up on about 32 minutes into flight. You can see those fairings falling away. Pete's launch replay video here, reflecting the glow of the sun. Great views. They're just about 2.5 minutes away from the satellite deployment. As we wait payload deployment, coming up in just a couple minutes now. Taking a look at launch photo at liftoff from other photographer Adam Bernstein here at the press site. Of course, if you want to check this out later, you can always follow him on X, formerly known as Twitter. He's at ABurnNYC. Our other launch photographer, Michael Kane, at MD Kane Jr. We're now T plus 33 minutes, 25 seconds and counting in real time. You're just about a minute away from the deployment of that satellite. We are coming right up on the point of satellite deployment. Television satellite getting ready to deploy momentarily. And just a little bit of a visual change. We did hear call out from SpaceX that the satellite was successfully deployed